Muhlstein, registered dietitian nutritionist, and welcome to Living Healthy, Living Well. On today's episode, we're going to explore tracking our progress to better assist our healthy lifestyles. We'll be having on David Fishof, my father, and one of my most successful long-term clients who has utilized these tracking tools to better meet and maintain his goals. People who belong to Weight Watchers are essential for three main reasons. Weight Watchers relies on three essential components necessary for getting the masses successful at a weight loss program. The first most essential part of a weight loss program is keeping a food journal. It's almost impossible to lose weight when you're not accountable and making a really good indication of what you're eating by keeping a daily food journal. The second thing is weekly weigh-ins. It's really important to go on the scale and just to learn about your body. This way you can see what's working and what's not. And if things are working and the scale is showing that it is, that's what you keep going with. And if things aren't working, then you can kind of go back to your food journal, reassess your plan, and make sure that you can figure out a really good plan for you. And the third part that Weight Watchers really relies on that's a great essential component is also that support. Coming from family or friends, having that engaging support on a weekly basis is very helpful for a weight loss plan. But ultimately, those two first things are enough to get any program very, very successful in terms of losing weight. The food journal and the scale. And today we're going to be exploring just that. How to measure our food, write down what we eat, and also our fitness routine, and go on the scale regularly as a means to really boost someone's weight loss. Various studies show that overweight and obese people underestimate how much they eat by as much as 47%. And some of these studies also tested dietitian nutritionists like myself and found that we also underestimate what we eat by about 20%. So there's a big discrepancy from what people think they're eating and what they're actually eating. And the only way to pinpoint what we're actually eating is by keeping a detailed food journal. Food journals are the best for increasing awareness of what we're eating because, you now know that you have to write it down later on in the day, so you become much more aware and mindful of the foods you do choose. And it also helps alleviate some of those instances of mindless eating. So you're going to be much less inclined to just grab a handful of M&Ms if you know that you have to write that down later on. It's also really great for pinpointing patterns, like discovering that you might be eating too much late at night and not as much during the day. It's also great for pinpointing any areas that need helping. So if you were keeping a food journal and you feel like you're not losing weight, you can show it to a dietitian like me and we can go through it and find an area that we can make a little bit of an adjustment to make the big change. So I definitely recommend keeping a food journal. A recent study just showed that those who kept a food journal for 6 days a week lost 2 times more weight than people who kept it 1 or less day a week. So it's really important to write down everything you're eating because doing that and nothing else will already and should already get you start losing weight, just becoming more mindful of the choices you're making. And another thing that goes really hand in hand with keeping a food journal is also going on a scale. Some people really like to avoid the scale because they find it doesn't really work for them. But what I found in my practice is if you really do want to lose weight, the scale is something you have to become familiar with because that's how we find out how you're losing weight and what's working and what's not working. Because I've worked with hundreds of clients at this point and I've really discovered that everyone loses weight differently because everyone has different families, different traditions, different favorite foods and food triggers and food environments. And so when you go on the scale and keep a food journal, you can really individualize your plan and learn what works well for you. So I really recommend going on the scale weekly just so you can avoid any big changes and you can help make healthy changes. So if you avoid the scale for a month, especially if it's this upcoming month of holiday season, including Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, you might see a 12 to 15 pound gain, which is extreme but totally possible. And then you could feel really defeated and out of control. But if you go on the scale weekly through this, you might see a 2 pound gain or maybe even a 3 pound gain, but it's still something manageable and something you know you can conquer. So I recommend keeping a food record, and also going on the scale regularly to monitor your progress. And if you don't like the scale, you can also use a body fat percentage monitor that you can find at most gyms, or you can use measuring tape that's just $2 at a drugstore and measure your inches. And you can definitely go buy a pair of tight jeans that don't lie, especially if they have a tight button and don't have a lot of stretch. So it's a really good idea to start monitoring your progress, because that's when you'll really be able to learn about yourself and learn how you can lose weight, and also just keep off and maintain your weight in a well and healthy way. Today we are honored to have on my father, David Fishof. David is one of my most successful private clients, and he is also the CEO and founder of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp and the writer of 2 best-selling books. He's lost 40 pounds with me and kept it off going through moving and lots of busy times in his business, and he's done so incredibly well and has kept it off beautifully. So here to tell us about all of his amazing secrets is David Fishof. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, wow, it's exciting for me.
Good.
I've never been anywhere early.
So I know that you use 3 major devices to really help you on your weight loss track. So the first one was the scale, weighing yourself regularly. The second one was keeping a fitness journal and a nutrition journal, writing down your food. And the third one was keeping a pedometer bracelet on you most of the time. I see you're not wearing it now. It's probably on the charger. But how did these 3 things really aid in your ongoing weight loss success?
Well, first of all, I've also found that I don't have to wear the jawbone anymore, because there's an app on my phone that tracks everywhere that I go.
Right.
So I've been using that lately. And those 3 things are amazing that you made me, really make me responsible for. The scale, that's the most important. And that's the one you hate the most.
Right.
And you just have to get addicted to that scale. And
a healthy addiction.
A healthy addiction. But you have to go on that scale as often as you can, and because it doesn't lie. And so that's been a great one. My FitnessPal, that app has also been super. I think I've logged in the last 30 days, everything I'm eating, and you're able to track it. And if I have, the other day I had a bad day, I don't mind putting that in, and it just keeps track. But so I think that's great, and the jawbone has been amazing too. You take it, but you end up working out. You end up going like this on your hand all day. So,
right.
But it's still great if you can get to 10,000 steps a day. You feel amazing.
Excellent, and I love the point that you made, that even on a day where you weren't as proud of your food choices, I don't like to use the word bad, but maybe making poorer choices, you still were accountable to the app, and you still put in your food journal what you ate. And that's the most important thing, is being honest with yourself and with these tools that really just help you stay accountable, which is great.
And that's what the scale does. You have to get on that scale, and the minute you see that you went up 1 or 2 pounds, you can know to come back. And that's something I've never done my entire life. Many programs, weight loss programs, and programs I've done over the years, as I can tell you, I've done lots of them, say, oh, don't go into the scale, don't believe the scale, and it's totally the opposite. And what you've done has been correct, and it's been the reason I've been able to maintain this weight loss for many years.
For sure. And that's like the biggest point I need to make, is if you don't go on the scale for a month, it can be a very scary reality when you go on it. But if you go on weekly, the worst you can see is like a pound or 2, and that you can always get on. So that's a perfect thing. And when we were working intensely together for a long time, we had a couple of pauses. There was a few moves, there were a few fluctuations in your business, and a few ups and downs, and we had to take a break. But what you really managed to do well is maintain your weight through all those fluctuations in your personal and professional life. So what do you think the most, the 3 keys to doing that were?
Things are going to happen in life, and one of my favorite sayings is that I've been taught to me is life is 90% of what happens, 10% how you deal with it.
For sure.
We all have to deal with these emotions. I went through some moves in the office and in the home, and your levels go up and down, and it's hard to maintain the food, especially when you're going through a lot of emotional times. But I think keeping on the scale, making water your best friend,
for sure,
has been a great has been great information that you've given me. And my favorite that you've taught me is that the first bite is the best taste.
Exactly.
And that has been a brilliant one, because I'm not afraid to, if I had to grab a piece of cake and I was I took one bite, And that was it. And you were absolutely right.
Satisfy
the urge. And
get rid of
so
it.
you don't have to starve yourself, or you don't have to say no. But once in a while, if you do have that crave, that one bite, then you put it down.
Absolutely. It's all you really need. And I know you travel a ton for work, and the red eyes that you take and all of the jet lags that you go through, and planes and buses and cars and all the touring you've done also in the past, you know, what do you think the biggest food struggles are when traveling, and how do you overcome them?
So travel is the hardest thing. You know, it's almost like I get petrified now to get on a plane, and I don't travel that much as I used to. But I think preparing, and you know, on my last trip, I took salads with me, and
Excellent.
I took meat, and I took you know, certain product that I wouldn't get, and I always call ahead and make sure I get a refrigerator in the room.
Perfect.
Call ahead to a.
My best trick for that is to tell them you have medications that you need to have refrigerated.
Right. And
Just so you can refrigerate your fruits and vegetables.
Right, and that's what I did on the last. I took your advice, and I got a free refrigerator on the last trip.
Nice.
But you know, I had some food taken away from me at the airport, some liquids. I didn't realize it. But mainly you know, the have some good proteins with you and some snacks, and takes the fruits and the vegetables.
Perfect.
It's all preparation. I mean,
Absolutely.
today, you know, it's Monday morning, and I'll go to the supermarket, and I don't rely on my wife to get the food for the kids. I know I have to eat this salads and these
Perfect.
vegetables, and I'm going to go take care of myself.
Absolutely.
And I think that's most important is just making the right choices and preparing yourself. And the other thing is eating on time. I'm realizing that when I don't have lunch when I decide I'm so stuck in the office eating at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, it doesn't work. I have to eat at the 1 o'clock.
Right.
Just because you have to get you know, you're not hungry sometimes. You have to eat that salad in place, because if you starve yourself, you're going to end up eating double or triple.
For sure. And it's good that, like, once you work with yourself and with me for a long enough time, you start to really learn about yourself, because we're so scattered with our businesses and our children and our, you know, wives and our spouses and everyone else that we tend to neglect ourselves. But what if you work on yourself for a while, you start to know the patterns and know your necessities and know what's essential to make your best self happen. And I think that's the best part of working with me and our transformation together is now you know yourself.
Working with you has been amazing, because you know, every morning I sit down and I have breakfast, and I'm used to having people sit and have breakfast and read the paper, and they don't realize what they're eating. I eat more. I eat the same food when I'm watching the newspaper, or watching television, or reading the newspaper, and the same thing will feel much more hearty if I don't do any of that and just focus on the meal. And I think that's what you taught me, is sit and have your meals. Don't get on the emails, don't get on the phone, just have the meal. And today, nothing will stop me from having my breakfast, my lunch, and my dinner, and that's priority, and not without any distractions.
And it makes it easier to remember when you're tracking in MyFitnessPal and your food journal, because you remember you've actually looked and enjoyed your food.
Yeah,
so that's perfect.
I think the patterns, the most thing that you do to your customers, what you did for me is you sat me down and you said, what are your bad habits? And what are your habits? Right. And you know, you walk in the house and you go right for the refrigerator. Well, go take a walk around that house a million times before you go to that refrigerator.
Right.
And those little things were just all so amazing. Make water your best friend. I mean, you know, if I don't drink a lot of water during the day, then I'll overeat. Right. So, you know, I made sure that I have those bottles of seltzer on my desk. And and you know, same thing with the Fitbit. I think that what's great with that is that every 45 minutes it buzzes my hand, and you got to get up and take a walk.
For sure, absolutely. And that's the best part of doing these little tools, is if you have them in place, then even if things happen, there are fluctuations, just having a few of these tools in your repertoire and kind of it really ingrained in your daily everyday habit, it will keep your weight off for many, many years and months to come. And also sleep has really been a very important factor in ensuring that you make good choices the next day. How do you track your sleep, and how do you make sure you get good sleep every night now? So
sleep has probably been the number one.
Right.
Because so many years I was tired, working hard, and you know, you keep yourself, you're tired, so you want to grab something sweet to keep yourself going. Sleep is most important, and that on my last trip to New York, I made it my business that I am going to get sleep, and at home. Try to get to bed by 10 o'clock at night, and when you sleep well, then your next day you're going to have a great food day. If you go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're going to struggle that next day. And sleep, you can make the best decisions if you sleep on everything in life, and especially the food.
Absolutely, for sure. And, I know you do a lot of running backstage at all your concerts and performances, and it's so easy where you have those bowls of just M&Ms and nuts all around the place. Also, just socially, when you go to so many events and parties all the time, there's always just like easy to grab junk food. So how have you found a way to kind of rein in your hands? Is it the food journaling that's helped? Like, what is it?
No, not the food journaling, because you're not thinking about, you got to write it down. You're looking at those M&Ms and they look really good. But I think what's happened for me is, you're right, being around my rock and roll fantasy camps, there's a lot of food, because you keep
always
people
at your
always
camps.
foods. People like food, and they want a quick energy. Water. Pick up that water. And every time, because it's very easy, I realize I'm running around, but meanwhile, you could pack on pounds in those 4-day camps, because you're constantly picking up, you have nervous energy.
For sure.
Is the rocker doing, are the people happy? Is the client happy? It's a nervous energy. So you don't even realize what you're picking up. So now I realize the only thing I'm going to pick up is water. Water, water, water. And then I'm able to, after those 4 days, between the running around and the water, I can lose weight. At functions, that's the hardest. There's no question that going to parties and functions, and people want to drink alcohol. So my newest thing is just take a glass of water, fill it up, keep refilling the water, and just don't eat. And then when I do have to eat, I think what you taught me the most was sit down. Right. Sit down, and if you're going to eat something, then to have a bowl of chili, just sit down and eat that bowl of chili and enjoy it.
Exactly.
So don't go to functions and just pick and not taste. Be conscious. And that's really helped me the most.
Absolutely. And, thank you so much for coming in today. You've done so well. I hope that you just continue on your success. And now it's like even almost easier. Because the hard work is in the beginning, when you have to really utilize these tools and get new ones and kind of go out of your comfort zone. But now you've really found like kind of a lifestyle changes that just really help you on a daily basis, help you stay controlled. And thank you so much for coming in and sharing your success.
Well, I think the great thing is, if I can change my lifestyle, then my children will change their lifestyles. And and I think people around you will change their lifestyles. So
For sure.
I'm really thankful to you, because you gave me a lot of years left on my life, and I'm really thankful that I'm able to. I found more happiness, because when you lose weight and you feel weight, you feel great.
Absolutely.
It really has a lot of. It's your whole life. It really is, and people.
I always say, you have to be good to your body, because if you're not good to it, where will you live? It's really improving the real estate that you have to live with for the rest of your life.
You've been life-changing to me, even though you're my daughter, but it's on a professional level, it's been amazing. No one's ever been able to get across to me this message.
Good, good, good. Where can our viewers find you and more about your business?
So, Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, my website is rockcamp.com, and they can go to my website, and my new book's out, Rock Your Business. So Great. If I got to promote it, it's amazing. But it's it's lifestyles and basically giving people who have ideas a chance to show, how do you take an idea and make it happen? Everyone's walking around with $1 million idea. I'm going to show you the ideas and how to make it happen. And I've had winners, and I've also had losers. And I'm the first to tell you, you can win and lose, but at least you can get some great advice.
Great. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Being in touch with our daily choices and their outcomes is essential for staying committed to weight loss and weight maintenance. There are so many apps and tools now, including MyFitnessPal or Lose It, some great food journal apps. There are great scales now that will even tell you body fat percentage, and there are great fitness monitoring devices like really advanced pedometers. So it's really important that we utilize some of these tools to help us guarantee that we're being accountable to our everyday choices. And if you keep these daily choices in check, I guarantee you'll start to notice changes this week. So please reach out on Facebook and Twitter and let us know how it's going. Send us your questions and share your successes. Good luck and have a great and productive week. For more on living healthy, living well, be sure to subscribe to emPOWERme.tv. Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook.